Coming up, New York sports special episode. We go into the New York Knicks season. We also talk about the New York Giants 2023 NFL season and the rise of Tommy touchdowns, the passing paisan, Mr. DeVito himself. Stay tuned. Let's go. Welcome back to Client's Corner, favorite place to get your news, knowledge, and action anywhere from TVs, books, movies, or your favorite sports teams. Today we got a very special guest. We're with the number one East Coast Jew in Bellingham, Washington, Will Richman. Today we're gonna talk a little about the New York Knicks and the New York Football Giants. Shout out to the East Coast fans.
Yeah,
Will, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I've just dove into your podcast the other day and I'm like, you're doing a great thing, dude. Like keep it up. I'm so happy to be on this, dude, just to talk some New York sports.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love talking sports, so why not just record myself and have people to talk to?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into some Knicks. The Knicks right now, they're sitting in the fifth spot in the East. They're 10th in offense. They have efficiency, 14th in defense. They're in like this kind of same spot as they were last year. We're a little over a quarter of way done through the season. Knicks are
Mhm.
kind of just like I said, they're in the spot last year where they're just not a top three team, but they're not like a play not a bottom playing team. Anywhere from like the ninth to like the fifth, which is a respective amount or where they should be, to be honest, based on their team.
Mhm.
Jalen Brunson's playing crazy. He's shooting like 45 plus from the three,
Yep.
25 points per game. The funny thing about Brunson is that I remember when they first signed him to that deal, people were going nuts. They were like, "Oh, the Knicks just oh, they overpaid him so much money." And now he's playing like he should get 35 million.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I don't know, man. I always like to be optimistic about big signings like that, because you really truly never know. Because I mean, look at who he was playing with. He was playing with a generational talent in Luka Doncic. Like he didn't have that opportunity to take the reins, and now look, he has the reins, and you're seeing exactly what he's capable of.
And honestly, when I watch him, it's just this is no disrespect to him. It's kind of like not Julian Newman, but he's so shifty and he just
Mhm.
gets to where he's so good at getting to his spot on the court, just finding the way to like get off the defender and just go into that mid range and pulling up. Even just
Yeah.
like yeah, like I said, it's he makes when you watch him, it's like guys can't guard him. Like he just finds a way to be so shifty. Like, did you watch the Lakers game last night?
I watched bits of it because I was also trying to watch the Seahawks Eagles, so it was like two screens at the same time.
Yeah,
But I
that
watched a little recap of it today.
he did this one where he faked the left and then went right, and then he just like little sweet like little floater off the backboard and over AD and he couldn't swat out. I was just like, damn. It
Oh,
was
was that
pretty
that receipt
awesome.
that he had?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was
It
nuts.
was it was tough. Uh but yes, but unfortunately, like usual, Mitchell Robinson is out for them. Not
Mhm.
surprising. Lasted longer than I expected, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Um but he's out for at least 2 months, and they have Hardenstein.
Mhm.
Who's how do you feel about him?
I mean, honestly, from all I've seen this season, I love it. Like, he had 17 rebounds, career high 17 rebounds last night. Like, he is a perfect complement to Mitch. And, in situations like this where Mitch goes down, I think he fills in like pretty seamlessly into that starting lineup, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like him or Jericho Sims more?
Definitely him. Jericho is so limited. Like, you see like the freak athlete traits he has, the vertical, but like, I haven't seen enough from him. He's very limited skill set. He has a very limited skill set.
His shoulders are just like insane. He's it's crazy
Yeah.
how freaking strong he is, but he's got no touch.
Mhm.
He can't shoot at all. I mean, even like inside, yeah, he's just kind of just a big man, which is something the Knicks really lacking. But Isaiah Hartenstein, you got to give him credit. He's a good like fill-in player. I mean, he played every game for the Knicks last year, and he played
Yeah.
39 minutes last night against a tough Lakers team. So I really like them. He's good. What do you want from them moving forward for the Knicks? Like, what are you looking for them to improve on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like people are so quick to be like, oh, they're stuck in this middle ground where like they can't necessarily compete for a championship or get a good pick. But people don't realize how important continuity is in the NBA. And we've kept this core together for so long. And we have the pieces, we have the picks, we have the players that we can, if that big star, that big disgruntled star is out there, we can make that happen. So like I just like stress patience to all Knicks fans because I mean, there's really nothing we can do wrong right now the way we're going about things.
It's very true. Patience, that's a good word to use, is patience. I've definitely, I think I've definitely grown as a for patience for Knicks fan because I'm also a Mariners and a Mets fan.
Okay.
My dad's from New York. Thank God, he's a Giants fan. Thank God he's not a Jets fan. Oh my
Oh my
God,
God.
I could not do Mariners, Jets, and the Mets. Holy, that is a lot of that's just sadness. It's
A lot of
sheer
upbeat.
sad. Yeah, a
Yep.
lot of ups and downs. Um, but yeah, like you said, a lot of patience. I think I honestly thought I was well. This was more of a conspiracy, not a conspiracy, but I was like Giannis might come to New York. He
Hmm.
didn't sign an extension, but then they get Dame, and you're like, okay, yeah, he'll stay. And then I was like, okay, Embiid is going to come to the Knicks. Maybe it's possible because I think Leon Rose is his agent, or at least his company,
Yeah.
uh, and he loves New York. But and then James Harden thing, and there's some turmoil with the Harden thing. So I
For sure.
said, okay, yeah, maybe he comes over here. And then Maxi goes off and they're playing
Yep.
really good. And somehow they got Nick Nurse, who's a great coach, the
Yeah.
championship winning coach. So I think Embiid is probably going to stay in Philly for a little longer. But this brings me to the next thing is that um, they need they need someone else. They need to get that star. Because if you look at the past NBA finals, at least also just in general, the teams that won too, they've always had like a top five player. Giannis, he's
Mhm.
at Nuggets, Steph Curry. The Knicks don't really have that. I mean, even on any given night, they don't really have the best player on the court. Well, you can make some debates, but if you're playing like the Cavs, like I think that Donovan Mitchell is better than Randall and Brunson.
Mhm.
And if you play like the Lakers, like LeBron or Anthony Davis is better than both of them. They can beat you as a team, but I really think that will give them, like you say, the criticism of like that mid-round purgatory won't go past the first round of the playoffs is getting that extra player. And who do you like as some trade targets to get them over that hump?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Donovan Mitchell has been a rumor for so long. We thought we were gonna get him, what was it, two off seasons ago now? Um, I think honestly, if we were to get Mitchell somehow, whether it be free agency or a trade, where we can still keep Brunson, I think as a 1A, 1B, who knows? Like we could make that push. You truly never know. Like I didn't expect us to beat the Cavs the way we did. And then imagine throwing Donovan Mitchell into that equation. That backcourt, although a little undersized, would be just so dynamic. Like I don't know who
Yeah,
stops defense.
definitely. I mean, that's the one criticism that the back, not the back, but the thing criticism that's getting about the Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks is kind of the small guard ball, which is true. But I mean, Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he grew up in New York. His dad played for the Mets. I saw him. He was at the celebrity All-Star softball game in Seattle, and he was wearing a Mets hat. So he
Oh
definitely
yeah,
loves
I
New
saw that.
York. Yeah, he loves New York. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play in New York? Like that'd be so fun just to live there. It's like such a great
100%. Yeah.
city. And also if you are a athlete that performs well in New York or just any like big market, but specifically New York, you'll be a god. Like look at Jeremy
Literally.
Lin. Like Jeremy Lin that 7 game span we just went off and just
Yep.
he was the most popular man in New York.
Oh yeah, no, it was insane. My dad was actually working at the Garden at that time, and the promos for Lynn, like I have this shirt that he got me that says "Just Lynn, baby." Like he was
Jo-
he took over the city within a few weeks. Like it was insane.
Yeah, especially when the Lakers came to town and they beat Kobe and he dropped like 34 something like that was crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah, the good thing going for the Knicks, they have a lot of assets. They have a lot of trade, a lot of trade assets, especially draft picks. Like people would surprise. They've got 11 first round picks. They have 10 second round picks and up until 2030. And they have 3 first round picks this year. three or four, including the Earls for the 2024 draft. But
Yeah.
two of them are probably gonna go to the next one because the Detroit's pick and Washington's pick, but those are 1 through 18 protected, and Washington's is 1 through 12, and those teams are both not very good basketball teams. Detroit's on 24 game losing streak, no 25 I think now because they lost last night,
Oh my God.
which is like I think the record's 28th, and it was the process 76ers and like 15, 16 or 2014, 2015. But just it's crazy. I mean, especially in today's basketball, when you talk about, there's no defense to lose that many games is crazy. I just it's just wild to think losing. I mean, imagine that locker room, like how depressing it is.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, my one of my really good friends actually lives right up the street from me, is a Pistons fan. And I just like asked him about it, and he's like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I had high hopes for this season, Jalen Duren's a rising star. Cade
Hmm.
Cunningham's coming into his own. Though I think their big issue is the way they're handling Jaden Ivey. Because they're for some reason starting Killian Hayes, who we know is just not that guy. Is not that guy at all. And Jaden Ivey's shown way more promise, and yet they just I don't know. They haven't unleashed
Oh
him.
yeah. No, for real. Like Jaden Ivey he was a top 10 pick.
Mhm.
He looked really good in college. He looked really good last year, and I don't know why. Maybe Monty Williams is like, okay, I'm the highest paid coach now, so I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's thinking. But yeah, like you said, Jaden Ivey is not like it must have been maybe some internal thing. Like he's kind of a head case, and he's like, oh, you have to earn the minutes. There's definitely more to look into that. But yeah, Killian Hayes kind of a bust. I mean, he wasn't too high of a pick, but he's not. I mean, he's pretty bummy in my opinion. He's had some, you know, like bursts of, oh, okay, maybe this guy can hoop on a consistent basis, but it really hasn't been it. Yeah, I think last night I have to double check this, but I swear Ivy only had like 16 or 19 minutes maybe, and
Wow.
yeah, and I mean he was coming off the bench too, I believe. But yeah, and they recently got back Bogdanovich, which he's been killing it for them. I think he had like 25 last night for them, which also means my next subject is how would you like him on the Knicks? What are your thoughts on that?
See, I like the idea of it. It really would bolster our bench for sure. I mean, not that our bench needs much bolstering. Honestly, it's like arguably, the best bench in the league. But the only thing I worry about is this going to be a repeat of like the Obi Toppin situation where he's getting like 12, 15 minutes here and there, like, just spot minutes. Because I mean, Tibbs is very high on Julius. Like Julius is his guy. He's going to get his, 35, 36 minutes every night. I just don't know how Bojan's going to fit in there.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like they definitely are committed to Julius Randle when they traded Obi Toppin. They also didn't really want to re-sign him too. I think they're paying for his contract actually this year.
Really?
Um, I honestly might be wrong about that. But yeah, they definitely want to stick with Randall. And I mean, he had a horrendous first 5 games. The beginning of the season was just like awful, awful. But he looked good last night.
Mhm.
Um, but I think, yeah, I mean, Bogdan's definitely small forward shooter, and their shooting's like mediocre. But he's guaranteed 20 million this year, and then he has a player option for next year that he can go into, and he's guaranteed like 2 million next year. I think they could use him, just some extra shooting. And like you said, the Knicks are pretty deep. If Quentin Grimes is playing a little better this year, I'd say maybe they don't need him, but he's kind of dipped a little. At least his playing minutes have dipped, and his shooting has dipped a little bit. But there's still plenty of basketball left. I
No,
think Bogdan. I think what they really need to do is see if they can get a player, but also do like a salary dump, but also get maybe some improvement of Evan Fournier because dude, that salary is just eating them up. I think it's at 17 million, and he's not even
yeah.
playing for them.
Yeah,
So
honestly, I could see them packaging him in a deal just to, get someone that's, in that 20 mil range, 25 mil to really like even bolster the starting lineup because I mean, we have that uncertainty with the shooting guard. It's like Grimes or DiVincenzo. It's kind of a toss up right now. They
Yeah. Who do you like better?
I like DiVincenzo better for sure. I just think he fits so well next to Brunson. You know that Villanova connections. It's real. You know, like people can like speculate all they want, but like there's obvious chemistry that's carrying over from their college days into the league.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's one play last night where it was Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Hart on a transition. I don't know if it was a transition basketball a play, and it just looked so fluid. And you could tell, oh yeah, these guys definitely not only won a championship in college, but def played together.
Yeah,
Yeah, DiVincenzo's all right. I mean, they got him. He's only on like 11 million a year, so it's like a decent contract. It's definitely a good tradable contract if they ever remove him. Going on top of contracts, what do you think about RJ? How do you feel? Are you fine? Do you want to keep him? Are you fine moving him?
you see, that's a tricky one because I mean, the way he started out the season was so encouraging. Like he was, our best player for like first 10 games, putting up, I think he was like 24 a game at one point. But then, lately he's really taken a backseat. Last night he just, I don't know, he just looked like a non-factor. Wasn't great. I I would be open to seeing what we can get, but it's like it's just a matter of who, you know. Like I obviously would love like a Mikal Bridges, but I mean I think he's pretty locked in Brooklyn. But like I think if we had someone like him, that could take us like a conference final contender at least.
Yeah, and him and Randall kind of play similarly a little bit,
Mhm.
similarly in the way that they kind of like both will kind of back guys down and then spin and then just go up for the mid range. And they're both
Yeah,
like mediocre shooters. But yeah, the RJ thing, I mean, it's one of those things like you got to sign guys because they could go somewhere else and do really well. Because I think he's owed like 36 million for next year, and then it keeps getting more and more. But also as players will just get paid more into the future too, so it could be a discounted like for the Brunson thing. But yeah, Barrett's. I mean, it's kind of hard because he's the third overall pick too, so it's just like, is that potential still there?
yeah,
And it's weird because his second season, he shot is 39, basically 40% from the three, but it's just gone down. Maybe it's confidence, who knows? But we'll see what they do with him.
yeah,
What I like is Miles McBride too. I think he's super good defender.
yeah. No,
He
he
plays
gives
a
me
lot.
a Pat Bev vibe a little bit. Not, of course, not as animated, but
Oh,
just like like lockdown defender. Like put him on the best perimeter guy and just let him work. He's relentless on
yeah,
defense.
yeah. He'll lock guys up, and it's awesome. Like they'll be like, "Hey, we just need you to play like 5 minutes of solid defense." He'll be like, "Bet, I got this."
Yep.
I meant to say I read a fact today that RJ is seventh in fourth quarter minutes, I think, for the Knicks. So
Hmm.
they're not really using him down the stretch, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's another little concerning thing to think about. Another trade asset that they could trade player that they could go for is also DeMar DeRozan. But honestly, it's like, I mean, DeMar's like 22 points per game this year. The Bulls, DeMar DeRozan probably be traded, him or Zach LaVine, because the Bulls are more mid than the Knicks. They
Yeah.
just haven't been that good. Um, they've tried the whole Nikola Vucevic experiment. They made it to the play-in game last year. It just hasn't looked good. Kobe White's playing a little better, but they need to make some moves. Patrick Williams has not turned out as the way they thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think DeMar. What do you think about DeMar on the Knicks?
See, that's an interesting one because it's like, what is he, 33 years old, I think, 34?
Yeah,
Pretty sure he's on an expiring deal. It's like, how much do you really want to give up for us? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how much of an upgrade he is over RJ. Like, he's a really good player, don't get me wrong, but like I just don't think he's that missing piece. Like, I think maybe we could take the Heat to 7 with him, maybe win, but we're not going past that. Like, I don't think it's a very like incremental move, I guess.
yeah, and also the other question is, would he? I mean, there's been speculation where he wants to go to New York or Miami.
Mhm.
It's also, does he re-sign with them next year? And like how much? And the uncertainty of oh, is he going to resign? Like, how much do you trade for him? He'll definitely be cheaper because he's not expiring, but he's also old. He's pretty consistent. He's had some injuries the past couple of years, but for a while he's played over like 90% of the games for a long time for his career. He's a good he's kind of like a well, I don't know if this is interesting, but he has the same mid-range game as Brunson, just like money from the
Yeah.
mid-range. We'll just
Just when
drive on guys, take a step back, or just literally will just pull up. It's
Mhm.
like yeah, I put Brunson in the same tier as like DeMar, Chris Paul, a little bit of Kawhi. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just they're both mid-range guys. But I think it's tough though because it's like, do you want like you obviously want the team to get better, and with DeMar, they maybe get a little better, but it's like
Mhm.
how much does that matter? Like do you want to be more like conservative and save the picks and maybe take a gamble on free agency, or do you try and go and get them on the trade market? So it's definitely a tough conversation. It's easier for, I mean, basketball it's harder because you have like the cap space, and the luxury tax, the salary cap. It's not like baseball where you can just pay players millions and
Yeah.
millions of dollars. Uh, but another guy for the Knicks that would honestly be their best fit, in my opinion, would be OG Anunoby.
Okay.
On a nobody. I said on a nobody. I just watched his video actually. Do you see that video that went viral? It was these it was these Knicks fans and some interviewer was like, "Oh, what do you think but the Raptors play against the Knicks tonight?" They're like, "I saw nothing." They're like said Pascal Seaman. They said Angie on a nobody and Scotty Bum. They all looked horrible. The best player was DiVincenzo playing like he's coming home to Mama's Sunday sauce. It was the it was so fun.
Yeah, Knicks fans are
So,
everything.
dude, they are. I want to get into that a little bit later because they they are quite a different specimen for Knicks
Okay.
fans. Yeah. But going back to OG Anunoby, I think he was first team all defense NBA last year. He's gonna be free agent. I mean, he has a player option, but it's like 19 million, and he's definitely worth more than that, in my opinion. So I think either the Raptors will trade him because I just don't think he fits. Well, it's more like if they're asking for a lot, they're asking for like like multiple first rounds for him, and also when a team trades for him, like we said, are they going to re-sign there? But the Knicks need. I mean, Hardenstein's like a good player. I'm glad he's got a decent touch. But they need depth and for the center position and on defense as well. Like
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, he's doing fine, but Isaiah Hardenstein playing 39 minutes is crazy. And definitely not something. I mean, maybe he could do it every game. That'd be crazy. But they definitely need some depth because injuries will happen to him or somebody. Because I feel like I mean Jericho Sims is really the only. I guess Todd. Yeah, dude. They were. Oh my God, they had Taj
Gibson,
Gibson.
yep. He's back.
He's back, dude. I saw my buddy and I were. He's a Knicks fan. We were just like, Taj Gibson's got to have some dirt or some blackmail stuff on Tibbs because he just takes them everywhere. When Tibbs
Yeah.
is in Minnesota, Taj Gibson, and then Tibbs came over to the Knicks. Gibson was there. But yeah, when you have, I mean, no disrespect to Taj Gibson, like low key, would rather maybe have Taj Gibson than Jericho Sims because just because veteran experience, like he's definitely knows and he's smarter. But I don't want I don't want Taj Gibson playing in the fourth quarter.
100%. Yeah.
Like they definitely and OG on Anunoby would be a great fit for them because he's great on defense. He's like 15 points, I think 37% from the three. And that's kind of what you want in your modern NBA player, like a 3 and D kind of, but it gets labeled a lot. But I think Anunoby is definitely that kind of player that can elevate them to that next level because I mean they got bypassed with Cleveland last year in the first round. Like I was really surprised that they won that series. Um, and
Yeah.
then I mean the Heat, Miami is just dogs. Um, and
Yep.
honestly, Randall did not look very good. He shut down that series. It's pretty bad. But he also had that ankle. I think it was the ankle injury, or he was nursing something.
Yeah. He had like off-season ankle surgery. It's like I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering a slight pass, but it's just like dude, I've seen you kind of fold under pressure twice now. It's like I don't know how many more chances we can give you. I feel like it's like this year, if you don't show it when you're fully healthy, then we might just need to, part ways.
But what's fully shown in your opinion?
Just better efficiency and just, like he needs to play like decisive Randall because when he does that, like he did against the Lakers, gets to his spots, uses his strength, like he could be such a dynamic player. But when he tries to do all this, between the legs crap, taking like stupid step backs, it's just like, like what am I watching?
He he he's he had a shot last night where I just before he even released the ball, I was just like brick and he bricked it. Because I mean I don't know why I shouldn't be saying of the team that I root for, but sometimes it's just like, dude. And
He's
his and
not.
his and also like yeah, you said efficiency. Also handling the ball last year. He had that like I think against what team was it? Maybe it was the Heat or the Celtics where he like was going left and then I think the defender like touched it and then he literally just picked it up and like checked it and made it. It was a buzzer beater. But yeah, there's
Oh
some
yeah,
difficulties with Randall where it's just like you have to like you said, efficiency. And beginning of the oh my God, beginning of the year, he was shooting like first 5 games, I swear, it was like 20%. It was
yeah.
so bad.
Mhm.
And some people are saying, maybe he's just, tired from his time with Team USA, which is honestly a strong argument because if you look at Austin Reeves, who came back from playing with Team USA, he had a pretty rough start to the beginning of the season. Um, but I guess Brunson also played with Team USA,
Yeah,
but Brunson's just a dog, so he's different.
yeah. Brunson's ready to go no matter what. You can play that guy 48 minutes. He'll give it his all every single minute.
Give me some other thoughts. I want to ask you about Emmanuel quickly. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, yep. I was waiting to talk about quickly. I we need to resign this guy. Like,
Yeah,
no
I was gonna
questions
ask you that.
about it. We have to. He is just
I would,
like he's the heart and soul of our bench, and arguably he should be starting. Honestly, like he's a better option than DiVincenzo and Grimes. I truly think that.
yeah, we got to get Ham and then Ice Spice on the court a little more.
Oh yeah, when Ice Spice is there, he's
He's cooking.
all day.
Yeah, I was really surprised the Knicks didn't re-sign him or give him an extension during last offseason.
Mm.
I'm curious if it doesn't seem like a guy who would. Some players are so egotistical, well, they would take it as like disrespect. But it seems like he's still happy to be there. Uh, yeah, just I was curious. Part of me thought, okay, they didn't trade him, they didn't re-sign him because they want to use him, um, as a trade asset. So maybe that's what we're waiting for. But
Yeah,
but do you trade? Like if you could get done with Mitchell, but that'd mean Emmanuel quickly would have to go. Would you be okay with that? Because Mitchell, I mean, what the cat? Let's preface it like this: what the Cavs traded for Mitchell, either they're gonna ask for the same, or ask for like in terms of draft picks, or like the same value in players.
for sure, for sure. I feel like we'd have maybe a little bit more leverage just given that there'd be less years on Mitchell's contract,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, him getting older. But I don't know what I've seen from Quickly as a starter. It's just like he can put up 20 a game like consistently when he starts, and it's like, do you want to give that up for Donovan is great for sure. He's great, but like, what else are you gonna have to give up? Like you said, like something similar to that package that Cleveland had to give up, and I just don't know if that's worth it for what I think Quickly could become. He's still 24 years old, I believe. Dynamic defender, um, great shot creator. I mean, you saw what he did last night against the Lakers. He made some tough shots. Like that's when you see that kind of Quickly, it's like hard to think, oh, we can't just let this guy walk. Like we gotta keep him homegrown talent. Like 25th pick, he was such a steal. I just one of my favorite
Yeah,
players. I have a Quickly jersey in my closet. He's my guy.
yeah, and he's got the beard now this year too. I saw that.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, he's stepping up.
Yes,
He says, "I
sir.
want that. I want that long-term contract."
Yep.
Yeah. Would you rather have him? So you'd rather have him starting than off the bench?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because as much as I do like DiVincenzo and like Grimes here and there, when Grimes actually came off the bench, we saw a lot. He had like 18 points, I think, that first game he came off the bench. Um, but yeah, I mean, on the other hand, quickly is just so dynamic off the bench. Like when Brunson goes out, or even like when whoever's starting DiVincenzo or Grimes goes out, and Brunson and quickly get some time together, and you could just see like how dynamic of a backcourt that could be. So I mean, I don't know. I'd be open to
Yeah.
seeing.
Quickly. He also just got that swagger too when he plays. Um, yeah, I remember when Brunson was out last year with the ankle, I think is it ankle or heel. It was towards like kind of towards the end of the season, but it was when quickly was like he had like 39, 31. He was just going off because people were like, oh, the Knicks aren't going to keep winning when Brunson's injured, but they kept winning. I remember he had that huge game against the Celtics. So it was
Yeah, yeah,
on ESPN. And that was just I was texting my buddies. I was just like, this the dude right here.
dude.
It
Some of those plays he was making, I was just like, you got to resign this guy now. Like, we cannot
hmm
let this go. We cannot let this guy go. You see what he's capable of when he gets that, that starting opportunity.
Yeah, I really like him and I really hope they re-sign him. Do you like Josh Hart? What are your overall thoughts on him?
Josh Hart. I love the story. He's also a Villanova Wildcat. We have four of them on the roster. If you want to throw in Archie Diacono, the bench warmer. Um, but I don't know. He's he's fairly inconsistent offensively. Like, you'll get the 15 point, 20 point game from Josh Hart, but most of the time you're getting 8 or 9. So it's like, if the right opportunity presents itself, would I throw him in a package? I think so. But on the other hand, I also would be more willing to give up like an RJ and then keep Hart off the bench because I just love the mentality he has. He's built for New York. He's a grind, like hustle guy. Like he'll do the work that most other players won't, like diving for loose balls, just like all
hmm
those tough makes.
I was about to say, yeah, he's got that dog where he like you said, those are the kind of players that dive for the loose balls, not afraid to get injured in the stands. Plays
Mhm.
good defense. He definitely was a huge help for them, I will say last year, like
Yeah.
securing their playoff spot, at least not to have to get into the play-in tournament. I think he'll be good for them. Keep going moving forward. But yeah, well, going back to the whole Donovan Mitchell conversation. If they ask for like the same price they traded the Cavs asking price is the same that they traded for him, then I would say don't do it. But if it's like three firsts and three firsts and even then it's like three firsts and Barrett maybe. Depends which firsts, but because RJ, I think people would be fine with RJ leaving.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's like you don't like it, but I mean, well, some people might like they're Knicks fans. They're very hit or miss on certain players.
100%.
But Donovan Mitchell would be, I think he'd be nice, but I wouldn't want him for the asking price of what the Cavs traded for him. I think one sneaky guy, which it'd be an interesting trade, but like I don't know how much of an upgrade he is from Josh Hart would be Gordon Hayward.
Okay. Yep.
So if you did like but they're really like the only way the Knicks can really get honestly these big like contract the guys that have like kind of heavy contracts. I think Gordon Hayward's at 30 million this year or for this year, and he's expiring contract. Let's
Mhm.
trade. Let's do like Evan Fournier and then like a first maybe like a B minus valued first because Gordon Hayward's good, but he'd be good bench piece. Honestly, I'd have him over Hart and then
Yeah.
have Hart come off the bench. Um, yeah, that actually wouldn't be bad. Do like Fournier and a first for
So
Gordon Hayward.
my question then is, where does Barrett fall in all this?
I think they stay, and then that's when it's time to. to move Bear for something. Because yeah, that's the
Okay.
thing. It's like, well, are the Hornets gonna take RJ Barrett? Because that is something you gotta know it is like where does Barrett go? Because then they just have these like small forwards.
Yeah.
These
So
guys,
lock.
yeah. Because then you have Randall, Hart, Hayward, and Barrett. So what do you do with? Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, I mean, yeah, what do you do at that point? I think you put Barrett coming off the bench to
Mhm.
conserve. I think you get or you start Barrett. You go Brunson. You go with Brunson at point guard and then Brunson, Hart, Barrett, Randall, and Hardenstein, and then you put Gordon Hayward because Gordon Hayward's old. He's had some injuries, so it's not like he can play a bunch of. He doesn't play like 20 plus minutes for the Hornets this year.
Yeah.
But he would be a good bench asset to give him some offensive push. And he's a decent defender, not solid, but okay.
Mhm.
But I think the best maybe they if they could somehow get Miles Turner from the Pacers too, that'd be insane. But I don't know what the Pacers are going for because they're very up and down. So we talked a little about trade candidates for the Knicks: Donovan Mitchell, Gordon Hayward, Bogdan Bogdanovic, you know, OG Anunoby. But now I kind of want to talk about the in-season tournament. What were your overall thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly loved it. I think it brought that playoff atmosphere, you know, and surprisingly, like players were really like putting it all on the line. Because I mean, I saw something like the second round pick the Lakers had, Maxwell Lewis. His whole salary was like 1 million, so he literally made half his salary from that tournament. And I respect players like LeBron who are like, this is chump change for me, but I'm gonna play my ass off. So these guys, make half their salary back right there in prize money. It's I love it and I think they'll keep it.
Yeah, I liked it too. It was definitely the in-season championship game was like the highest rated game that wasn't a playoff game. Maybe it's either that wasn't a playoff game or a Christmas game in a while. I think
Mhm.
they did a good job, and also think, like you said, making money for like guys who are on two-way contracts or like second round draft picks. It's also that playoff environment. Like it was getting competitive. Like guys were going. It was guys were getting into it. The fans were getting into it. Having it on neutral too is interesting as well. It's also good if Vegas wants to get an expansion team because it shows that they can hold a
Yeah.
team. But if Vegas gets a team first and Seattle doesn't, I am not following the NBA ever again. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I will be quite upset. Yeah, NC tournament was fun. I think also that the Lakers making it. Part of me thinks it was scripted, but I don't think so. I saw some tweet that was like LeBron is now the it was like he's the youngest player to win the the in-season NBA Cup MVP.
Oh my God.
They're for sure gonna name it the LeBron James Trophy.
You think so?
100%. Oh, for sure. Uh, yeah, they're for sure because they're gonna name they usually name every like last year they came out with all the new names for like the six man of the year award and like
Mhm.
the coach of the year. I mean, even at the All-Star game, the the MVP All-Star games, the Kobe Bryant one, which yeah, because I think he's won the most All-Star MVPs, something like along those lines. But I mean, just for the legacy of the league and LeBron James. Also, yeah, so I think they'll call it LeBron James. And they could also, it might not even be called the in-season tournament. It might be called like it might be called the Amazon Cup next year because the new media rights deal, they're gonna make a lot of money off of that.
Yeah.
I think it was fun, and they scheduled it out very strategically as well in terms of the group play because they did it on Tuesdays and Fridays, which is right after all the NFL games over, and then it's Friday,
Okay.
which is the day after Thursday night football, and then but also before college football on Saturdays. So it was also smart as well. What do you think of the courts and the visuals of the courts?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because there were a fair share of courts where I was just like, no, like this is if I was a player on the court, like this would be so distracting, and like also just a fan watching from the nosebleeds. Like, what am I looking at right now? I mean, I think the Knicks, their court was honestly pretty solid. Like, it wasn't too much. It really exemplified the city, the skyline in it.
It was sick.
But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they should change it up a little bit and not make it such a, you know, distraction from the action.
Yeah, it was fun because it did add to the significance of the tournament.
Hmm.
Some of them were cool. I will say that. I think the Bucks one was it like the cream color one? The Pacers one was weird. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Uh Pacers one, but it was cool just give it some significance. It did look like we were watching like a big three basketball game
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
or like slam ball with that minus the trampolines just or an and one just yeah just not it was not an NBA court for sure. It did not look like an NBA court. Do you think that so from watching the NBA in season tournament and seeing everything that went down, do you think that we've seen enough from the players and the fans that people will either, care for it the same as they do now, or would you think they'll start caring for it more? Because I think it might turn out to the way that, the tournament happened. Like people were kind of skeptical of the playing tournament. Uh,
Yeah.
but that's actually really something I look forward to. Like the Heat were a playing team. And if they were the eighth seed, they
Mhm.
still would have made it, if there was no playing. But the fact that they lost their first game and had to win two games in order to go to the playoffs, and then they ended up going to NBA Finals was really exciting.
No.
So
Yeah.
I think it will turn out well. But yeah, I had a fun time watching it. I have a friend who works for the Lakers, and he got to celebrate and be in Vegas during all of that. So that was pretty cool. He sent me some photos. What? So we talked about the NCAA tournament and we talked about the Knicks. Let's talk about the NBA just as a whole. Let's talk about dark horses for MVP. Who do you like?
Man, I've thought for the past few years that this guy is, gonna be that next great superstar, and like he just keeps elevating his game. There are two seed in the West right now. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, man. I think
SGA,
SGA. I'm all in on SGA, 100%.
dude. I love SGA. He's so good.
Yeah,
That team is just so fun to watch too.
seriously, yeah, yeah.
Like Chet, I wish we could do sports betting in Washington sometimes. Well, sometimes I do, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I should stay away from it. But
Oh, big
Chet,
here
w-
too.
yeah, Chet was plus 800 for Rookie of the Year, and I really wanted to bet him, but I couldn't. Because he looks good. He looks elite. Like he
Yeah.
had two nights ago, 2 nights ago he had 9 blocks, and then last night he had 7 blocks. And it's just, I mean, we
Jeez.
saw it in college. Like he was an elite rim protector in college, and it
Hmm.
was translated to the NBA. SGA, that's who I like. I was talking to my buddy, and he's kind of skeptical because he thinks that with Chet on their team that SGA can't really get it because it's hard to find the star. But SGA is just he's better and better every year. I mean,
Hmm.
first team last year, All NBA. He looks good, and they're fun to watch. And they have so many draft picks that they
Yeah,
could trade. Like it's insane. They're not even just draft picks, but they have swaps. Like they have Phoenix's like 2027 first round swap.
yeah, that
Just
could be something.
yeah, they're OP. They definitely need some more size. I mean, Pukashevsky's I mean, I guess you could say that he's like Chet, but not really. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch because he's one of those guys that just will go viral if they do something cool. But they need some more height in terms of if they want to kind of make that playoff push
No, for sure.
into honestly past. I just can see them going past the first round, but maybe not past the second. Do you have any other guys you like?
Yeah, and I always loved both big men, Embiid and Jokic. Like those guys are always going to be in that conversation. Tatum, Tatum's up there too. I mean, just look at the Celtics. They're 20-5 right now, I believe. Best team in the NBA right now. That Porzingis, addition really stings as a Knicks fan, but he's fitting so well with them, and it's just like I'm happy for him, but also, a little salty about how it ended up.
Yeah, I mean, people loved him in New York.
Hmm.
He was loved in New York, and then just like you can be a hero one day and that kind of market and then be a villain the next day. But yeah,
Yeah.
he is perfect for them. Like his ability to, it's just space the floor, but also like they can drive and he can just be around the perimeter just for a catch and shoot three, or he'll take advantage of mismatches. And they also have Al Horford coming off the bench too, which is just
Yeah.
really funny too. And I mean, KP shoots his shooting motion's fast. He's kind of like Al Horford, but in the sense that he shoots faster, so that he gets the ball out faster, and he can just play more. He's had some injuries so far this year, but he's definitely one of their missing pieces.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean Jason Tatum. They say the peak I mean the peak of an NBA player starts around 26. It's like 26 to like 30 years old. And then the MVP is like 27, 28. And if you look at the past MVPs, I mean, Giannis when he was like 28, 29, then Jokic won it when he's like 29 now. I think Jokic is actually they don't fact check that one. But yeah, Tatum's get definitely is I can see him winning an MVP for sure. And same goes with SGA. Like it's crazy. They're still so young.
Yeah,
Like they're
no,
so good.
it's
But
not.
it's insane. Like especially guys like Luca too. Like they're still like they have so much more basketball to play. It's crazy.
I you just reminded me, like Luka's definitely up there too. I think he is second in scoring right now in the league. And I mean, the Mavericks are playing better basketball. I was skeptical of that Kyrie addition. Obviously we missed out on that pick because it was a top 10 protecting. They got 11, I believe. Or no, they got 10. I was hoping to be 11, but they're showing some promise, with that backcourt. And yeah, Luka's just continues to just dominate. It's
He's
absolutely
he's he's so smart just as a basketball player too. Like he'll think he's honestly on the same IQ as LeBron in terms of like he's just ready like 7 seconds ahead. He's playing chess, everyone else is playing checkers. And his passing awareness. Do you see that pass he had around Jackson Hayes? I think he kicked it out to Dante Exum where he went around Jackson Hayes' back and just went like that. Just
Oh
it was
yeah.
so sick. Yeah, he's just so fun to watch, and he's doing all this at such a young age. Like the amount of
Mhm.
triple doubles he has at such a young age too. Like he could get up there and he'll finish maybe I could see him finishing top five most triple doubles. Uh, but yeah,
Honestly.
I've most of my dark horses. I really like Kawhi Leonard's been tearing it up.
Okay.
In his
Okay.
past five games, he's averaging like 30 points, and it's just one of those things that you kind of don't really because it's the Clippers, and you usually kind of talk about the big players on big markets. And LA is a big market, but it's also the Clippers. It's like the Jets to the Giants. It's always going to be the little
Mhm.
brother. But the Clippers are, I think, sixth in the West now. The James Harden experiment's doing a lot better. But yeah, Kawhi's balling right now. I really like him. And then who is it? Anthony Edwards? That dude is a dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's MJ's son, that's the speculation going around that he's related to Michael Jordan. He's been I mean the Timberwolves are the best team in the West. They're number one.
Yeah.
I still think the Rudy Gobert trade wasn't a good trade, was lopsided. But
Mhm.
the Karl Anthony Towns has kind of taken that back seat of being like, okay, I'm not the number one option anymore. I'm gonna let Ant do his thing. And the Timberwolves
Mhm.
also have the best defense in the NBA. So they're doing their thing. I think Ant's really leading that way. And I was watching the highlights of the game against the Heat last night, and he was just playing some bully ball, just backing guys down, playing
Mhm.
great defense, just finding his shot, and he looked really good. And it's crazy too, because he's so young. Like all these guys that we're mentioning, like SGA, Luca, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, will definitely. I would bet good money that at least one of those guys win an MVP towards the end of their career
Oh, for
because
sure.
they are hoopers. All right,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so yeah. Anything else you want to chime in on the NBA? Give your thoughts.
I'm,
Shout out to
I
some
mean, just
people.
based on what we've been saying, I mean, I just think the league is in great hands. Like everyone was like kind of like, oh, we're losing on this great generation when LeBron, KD, and Curry, eventually hang it up. But look at all these guys that you just mentioned. Luka Doncic, like early 20s, Anthony Edwards, early 20s, SGA, mid 20s. I'm pretty sure. Like, league is in amazing hands, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And even it sucks because the Spurs are awful, but Victor Wembanyama too. Just wait. They
Oh
just
yeah.
I don't know what they're just wasting his. They're not wasting his career because he's only a rookie, but I mean when you have that much talent and they just need a guard. That's a whole other conversation. Let's transition to the NFL. So you're from New York. Where in New York are you from?
I'm actually from Jersey, New
Are
Jersey.
you from from Jersey? Oh yeah, your dad worked in New York though, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where in Jersey you from?
Summit.
Summit. Where is that in Jersey?
It's
This
north central, so like Union County, about 30 minutes west of the city.
okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. I have family that live in Fanwood, and it's like I don't know if you're familiar with that area. It's probably like it's like a probably 40 minute drive to Newark Airport, and it's probably like an hour train ride into the city.
Okay.
It's fun. It's funny though. I'm in Jersey and I walk like 2 blocks and I'm in like a different part of Jersey. I feel like
Mhm.
there's like a bunch of different small, I guess they're neighborhoods or cities. So you grew up a big Giants fan. What's your favorite Giants memory?
Ooh, favorite Giants memory. I mean, it's got to be that first Super Bowl, the
Hmm.
Plaxico catch, the David Tyree helmet catch. I mean, I was, I feel like I was too young to truly comprehend how like special that moment was. Because I mean, was it 2007? I was like 6 years old. But just like looking back at the replays now, I'm like, holy crap! Like I was watching this live, and like this, the goat was beat twice by Eli.
Yeah, he's Eli's son. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean those Giants Super Bowls are awesome, especially because the 2008 Super Bowl win. The Patriots went 16-0 in the regular season that year. And then
Mhm.
obviously, they kept winning in the playoffs but lost in the Super Bowl. So I think the 72 Dolphins were the only other team to pull that off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, being a Giants fan, and then let's just ask you this, what's your worst, least favorite memory of being just a New York sports fan?
Oof. Honestly, I mean,
Dig
this
deep.
is
There's a lot of sadness being
yeah, no, I'm
Knicks.
I'm thinking about just all the bad memories I have. I mean, the one thing that's common amongst the Knicks and the Giants is just the coaching carousel, like just the lack
Mm.
of stability there. Just bad coach after bad coach, whether it's, David Fizdale with the Knicks, Jeff Hornacek with the
David Pitt.
uh,
Oh my God.
yeah, the list goes on. And then I mean with Joe Judge most recently with the Giants, like that was a horrible experiment. Um, Pat Shermer, Bob McAdoo, like none of those guys worked out. And I just feel for Saquon because I mean, Saquon's my guy. I want him to stay a Giant for life, but like I could also see why he's just like, all right, I need to go elsewhere. Like this has just been chaos.
Yeah. Saquon, what a specimen that man is.
Hmm.
I mean, he's fit. I mean, his quad. Well, yeah, it's just no, his hand. Yeah, his quads. I
Yep,
remember
Saquon.
the Saquon. Yeah, they're insane. I mean, but Baker Mayfield had to get wear that chain after because I think Saquon won Rookie of the Year that year that Baker went one and then Saquon went two and they had a bet. It was like if whoever wins has to wear like a chain that says something and then Baker had to wear like a quads chain. I think it's like quads. That was homage to Saquon. He's good. It sucks because he's so talented and they just.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel for Daniel Jones. He was. I mean, he went 1-5 as the starter before getting injured. He
Yeah.
had 2 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Did not look, and he got the bag over the offseason.
Hmm.
Didn't look good at all. But also the Giants just they have no one. I like Darren Waller's their best receiver,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
or
I
Saquon. You could argue Saquon's their best receiver.
could. You very well could. I mean, that first game DeVito started, or was it the second game? He had two passing touchdowns to Saquon. Like you could definitely make that case that he's our best receiver, which is kind of sad to say, but
Yeah, I mean they finally got rid of Kenny Galladay. Oh
oh
my
yeah.
God. Just absolutely highway robbery from the
Yeah,
Giants.
for sure, for sure.
I swear he only played like 2 games in 4 years or 3 seasons with them. I don't even know. They I
Yeah.
remember well, he was good. Like he led the league in touchdowns either two or the season before they signed him. Uh
Hmm.
yeah, I mean they gotta go and get some help on either the O line. What do you think what when you look at the Giants, what do you look for them to improve on? in the off season.
Yeah, like honestly, it's very situational for me, just based on their draft pick. So if you do lose out, say we finish 5-12, I think you'll have a high enough pick to get that quarterback, like that Drake May, probably not what's his name? Caleb Williams, but like maybe Jaden Daniels, that Heisman winner. I would be open to getting him as well. Penix possibly. I've heard he's kind of mocked to go late, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we could trade up into the late first and get him. But I'm really high on Jalen Hyatt, and I really think he can break out
Mm.
if given the right O line to pass protect and the right quarterback to get in the ball. So I'm really thinking quarterback or O line this draft.
Yeah, so the Giants would get the sixth pick in the draft, and actually, uh I pulled up a mock draft and it said, yeah, Jaden Daniels. That'd be sick. You just out? Are you out on Daniel Jones then? Are you just kind of
Yeah,
done with
like
him, or
it's
well,
tough.
let me ask you this first. Would you rather have him or the passing paisan, Tommy DeVito? Who would you rather have starting?
I mean, honestly, dude, I think I gotta go DeVito. Like just the value wise, like we're paying him, I believe like 3 years, 1.7 mil or something, like something super minor.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you've invested so much into Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Can you just kick him to the side like that after, you know, just a very unfortunate circumstance? Not to say he wasn't playing horribly before that, but like I mean, the ACL is tough, like it's I don't know, 40 mil.
That's a
It's
lot of cash.
a lot of cash. Yeah.
That's a lot of, yeah, and then you just restart with the rookie on draft a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Mhm.
I mean, but would you keep Daniel? Did the Giants just go in and trade Daniel Jones?
I think we keep him, and I think we also keep DeVito. It seems like Tyrod's probably going to be the odd man out at this point. I think I mean, Tommy's shown that he deserves a roster spot next year. I mean, he'd be a good Green Bay Packers team. Like that's not those first two wins that you could say were kind of like Commanders and Patriots kind of just gimme wins, but
Hmm.
Packers was that's a pretty legitimate win. So like I think he should stay, and Daniel Jones most likely won't be ready week one. So that brings the question, do you rely on DeVito to be your week one starter, or do you draft that Jaden Daniels or Drake May?
Yeah, and you mentioned situational. I think depending on how they draft and well, yeah, where they draft and how competitive they are next season. Because I mean, they're in like arguably the most competitive, at least definitely in the NFC, the most competitive in the NFC with I mean the Cowboys and the Eagles are the two best teams in the NFC. Then they're competitive division, which makes it tough too.
Mm-hmm.
You stick with Brian Dable as a coach? You like him?
Definitely, yeah. I think it's really hard to blame it on him this year. I think it's
Hmm.
very much so on the personnel. Like I just think our O line is the biggest issue. Quarterback's like right up there, but I really think our O line is the biggest issue. Like Evan Neal is looking like an absolute bust at pick 5 or no pick 7. Um, Remains to be seen on John Michael Schmitz, our rookie center. We'll see about him. Andrew Thomas is that building block, but then we still have scraps. We need to fix that O line because our defense has shown they can play up to a high level, but our offense is not. And I think a lot of that starts with quarterback and obviously that lackluster O line.
Yeah, their defense. I mean, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, who's just a freaking monster.
Mhm.
He's so fast for how big he's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So he's a shining star in that kind of tough franchise right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, what about wide receivers? You draft, you go hit free agency. You said you're a believer in Jalen Hyatt, but I mean, is Jalen Hyatt really gonna? Because I always say, it's hard for it's like you look at the Patriots. Maybe the quarterbacks would be a little better if they had better weapons.
Mhm.
So do you think they go on free agency and get some guys?
I think there's a very good possibility about that or of that happening. I don't know if Jalen Hyatt's necessarily wide receiver one. I'm gonna temper my expectations a little bit and say he could be like a viable wide receiver too. But I look at like T Higgins. who's an upcoming free agent. I'd be interested in that a lot. Like I think he's that dynamic receiver that we've been looking for.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys they could go after. I mean, Marquise Brown's a free agent. These are off the top of my head. Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, Gabe Davis, Tyler Boyd, maybe Rondell Moore. No, definitely Marquise Brown. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys they could go after.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, Jalen Hyatt, he won Fred Blitnikoff Award, right? His last year in college. He
Yeah,
won
I believe so.
yeah, on Tennessee. He's good. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. He looks pretty good.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, you got even guys like Daniel Bellinger, their tight end. He had some little burst out moments last season before he got. I don't know if he's back, but I think he's back. But I remember he got injured on the when they tried doing the tush push play.
Oh
That's what I
yeah.
mean. That's what it looked like.
Yep.
At least, yeah,
I like Darius Slayton. I mean, he's not anything special, but he's very steady. Like he's a steady like 60-yard guy. Like he'll get you 60 yards in a game, and you'll be like, okay, I can see him sticking around as a depth piece, but definitely not that dynamic weapon that we need.
yeah. I mean, if Daniel Jones is back, Isaiah Hodgins would just be popping off right now. So that's
Mhm.
that's what they need.
Yep.
That was I don't know. I was super high on Isaiah Hodgins coming into this year. I
Yeah,
was like,
me
man,
too.
he's gonna replicate because his last like 5 games of the season for the Giants last year was he was just balling. I swear he
Yeah.
had the touchdown like every game.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I like these are all guys I want to keep, like I think they're all great depth pieces, but yeah, we definitely need that playmaker. And it could be Marvin Harrison, I didn't mention him, but then on the other hand, who's going to throw him the ball and who's going to pass protect? So it's just like where do you prioritize? That's the big question for the Giants.
yeah, that is a big question. Definitely prioritizing and yeah, like you said, starts with they have decent amount of decent talent at quarterback, but it really starts on the O line because O line just I mean that's how the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. They had an insane O line and they had Russ on that rookie contract.
Yep, and that
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, Legion of Boom defense, man, unreal. Want to talk about? You watched that Seahawks game last night? You said
Yeah, yep.
that was awesome,
Julian Love, man, 2 picks. Let's go.
dude. It was awesome. It was just like it was the because Seahawks had lost 4 games at that point, and I'm like I'm a big football fan. I love the Hawks, but I don't sometimes I'm just like I kind of keep my expectations pretty mid. Same with the Mariners, just with teams. I'm kind of a mid person when it comes to setting expectations just for my sports teams, so I don't get disappointed because I've been
Yeah,
used to getting disappointed. Um, but dude, Seahawks awesome and Drew Lock literally coming in, being told he's gonna start 10 minutes before the game. Did you watch that post game interview he had?
yeah. I didn't have my TV very loud, so I didn't catch everything he said, but I
It
heard
was
it
awesome.
was notable for sure. So I'll have to go rewatch that.
It was on par with Gino saying they wrote me off, but I ain't right back kind of
Yeah.
level. He
Yep.
was just shouting at all of his teammates. And it was just awesome because it just shows you how uh trash not yeah, I'm gonna say trash, how bad Jamal Adams actually is.
Hmm.
First he got called out by that New York sports reporter for getting cooked, which he rightfully should. And then the game against the 49ers, Debo and McCaffrey just cooked him up, sizzles him like some nice barbecue chicken, in the words
Yep.
of Shaq. Yeah, and then yeah, so Julian Love got the start, ended up getting 9 tackles and 2 interceptions, and
Yep.
like 2 of the biggest interceptions for the year for the Seahawks. So that was
100%.
awesome.
Save their season, arguably.
Yeah, definitely, especially because the Rams have beat them twice. So when it comes down to like the whole wild card spot, the Rams have our head because they beat them. But yeah, it
Yep.
was a nice win for the Seahawks. Good win for the city too.
Yeah, 100%.
Uh, how let me give me some insight on the Rangers. You said you're a Rangers fan this year. I follow NHL a little bit, but give me some updates on them.
Yeah, so I've been watching here and there. It's super tough, with the Giants, Knicks, Rangers trying to balance it all.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
right now we're atop the Metropolitan Division, and now's the time I'm gonna start tuning in. Because Giants, we're not gonna make the playoffs. Knicks, I have that to watch, of course, but like now there's an open slot, so I mean I'm gonna start tuning into some Rangers games. I used to play hockey, so I have like a little, surface knowledge on the sport. But yeah, I don't know. It's just an exciting time for Rangers hockey. I remember back in 2014 when we were in the Stanley Cup against the Kings, my dad and I would watch every game, and it was just it's so much fun, dude. Like playoff hockey is just a different beast, and I have really high hopes for them this postseason.
They used to have my dad, he's from New York, grew up in New York, but he grew up a huge Boston Bruins fan, but he says the Rangers are his second favorite team. And I don't know, you know that game where he was at that game where the Bruins went into the stands and started fighting all the Rangers fans?
Wait, when was that?
It was like years ago, like in the 70s or 80s.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
god,
like these Ranger fans are talking shit, and then the Bruins players literally jumped over the bench and started fighting the fans.
that's awesome.
Yeah. But I remember that I used to follow Rangers because he's didn't they just have a guy I forgot what his name was. His last name was Klein, right? Didn't they have a guy blanking
Fine,
on oh man, I can't blink on his first name.
fine.
Maybe it wasn't the Rangers.
Are you
Maybe
thinking
it
of
was also
Kreider?
who?
Chris Kreider?
Oh no, Kevin Klein. That's what I'm thinking of.
Kevin
He
Klein.
was
Okay.
defenseman for the Rangers. But he spelled his last name the same way I did. They made it to uh the semifinals or the conference finals a couple years ago, right? The Rangers. They lost to the Lightning.
Yep, yep. We lost the Lightning. Yep.
That went to 7 games, right? That was a good series. Or maybe it was six.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I I need to start watching more. I'm not gonna lie. Like I definitely am kind of a casual fan in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
but they've always been my favorite hockey team just growing up. So like I like I like to think my fandom's true, but I definitely need to start tuning in more and really getting like more involved with it.
That's how I feel about like the Kraken. Like if you I my Kraken knowledge is very slim.
Mhm.
Uh, I'd say probably and same whole NHL. I mean, like you said, it's I follow like the NBA and the NFL like religiously, and it's just so hard to think put all the other stuff into the other sport as well. But hockey in person, arguably the most entertaining sport in person.
Sure, for sure.
It's nonstop action. It's awesome.
Yep.
It's so fun. And then when they get into the fights and drop the gloves, it's the best. It's the best ever.
Oh, there's nothing better. Yeah, because the refs just let him, duke it out. And
Yeah.
that's when you win at that point.
Yeah, have you gone to any Kraken games?
I have not. I was thinking of going to see them play the Rangers earlier this year, but I couldn't get around to it. Also, tickets are just like
Dude.
150 or something. Yeah, it's
Yeah, they're expensive for sure. I mean, even that's just I feel like it's just hockey tickets in general. Even and like same goes like the NBA. I'm going to New York and I was looking at Knicks tickets and they're just so expensive. Even for like the nosebleeds, I'm like $100. It was honestly more than that for the nosebleeds. Last year I went to New York. I went to a game with my uncle and my cousin, got to see the Wizards and saw the boy Denny Avdia.
sir representing.
Yeah, they represent it exactly. Uh, so that was fun. Yeah, but going that was on my bucket list just to see a Knicks game because
Mhm.
it's the Garden, the Mecca of basketball.
Yeah. No,
It's
yeah,
so it's
me and my buddies right before COVID actually, we got nosebleed seats. They were like 90 something bucks. And we were just like we just saw so many empty seats below us, and we are like, all right, we're just gonna finesse our way down. Next thing you know, we're probably in like $500 seats. Um, yeah, I don't know how we got there,
that's
but it
that's
was
awesome.
yeah,
That's what I would do for the Mariners. I'd buy like the cheap $10 3 inches level seats and then just move down.
yep,
Yeah,
that's the way
that's
to.
always the best. You got it. Yeah, and then it's sometimes one time there it was pretty ballsy of me. There was this kid, and he was probably like maybe like late teens, early 20s, and he was with his I assume his girlfriend, and he looked kind of just like looking around, was like, oh, this definitely isn't his seats. And I went
Yeah.
up to him like, hey, these are my seats. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm like, whew, thank God I was right about that.
Uh,
And we were like 4 rows behind the Mariners dugout, and it was awesome.
oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you talking sports. Love to have
Yeah.
you on again as well.
Oh, definitely, dude. This is amazing. Like I love what you're doing. Like I think podcasts are, the new wave. Like I love all these like NBA players doing podcasts, but like even just like, people that are similar to me with similar interests, just taking their knowledge and putting it into a podcast. I love it, dude. And I've been listening to some of yours and I look forward to hearing some more. And yeah, I'd love to be back on. This was
Thank you.
awesome.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't like cringe at myself. I'm like, oh, really? I'm just another white dude with another podcast. But I'm like, no, I'm actually liking this.
Yeah.
I'm not the white podcast that's telling you to buy Bitcoin or Dogecoin or invest in oh my God, what were those called? What were those like images? It was like digital NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, buy Tesla stock right now if you want. No, not actually.
Uh,
Man. Thanks again, man.
yeah. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, peace.
Peace, bro.
Super fun talking with Will, just chatting sports, especially teams that we both love is always the best. I met him at the Western Washington University gym. I was playing basketball. I was wearing my Knicks shirt, and he goes, "Hey, you a Knicks fan?" And I said, "Unfortunately, yes." All jokes aside, super great having him on. Hope to have him on again. Can't wait for you guys to hear next week's episode. This has been Jacob Klein's Corner. Thanks for watching.